Within the gigantic cast of characters available in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, whether including or not its DLC, there are some truly incredible fighters. However, and this is not a secret for anyone, there are fighters who are left behind, characters who don't have a unique quality, nothing that makes them special, and even those who can die faster than others. Today's video is dedicated to those characters. Since we made a while ago the top of the best characters in the game, get ready because today we have the 10 worst characters in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I remind you guys that this top is based on my personal opinion and also taking into account the opinions of many of you who contributed with your comments in the channel publication. If you want to leave your personal top of the worst characters, you can leave them in the comments without any problem. Let's start with the ranking now. Number 10. Pan. We start with Goku's granddaughter, this character from Dragon Ball GT who, despite being a Saiyan, unfortunately has a moveset that leaves a lot to be desired, especially because of her special abilities. None of them remove at least half of a life bar. The Feint Shot is a practically useless ability that does very little damage over a very long period of time. Not even her ultimate does considerable damage. She's a small character and many times that gives a certain advantage in melee, but leaving that aside, Pan falls far behind from my point of view. Number 9. Towa. Some may be surprised to see Towa here, but it turns out that many players are dissatisfied with her, because although she has skills that can easily stun the rival, she lacks of special skills that do devastating damage to take advantage of those moments when the rival is left defenseless. Her standard melee combo does very basic damage, so her potential cannot be taken advantage of to the fullest. It's another one of those characters that are used in different ways than the typical Saiyan, so you have to learn to exploit her capacity. But in the end, it still gives practically the same result in damage as with other characters with which you only have to hit the square. Number 8. Raditz. The main reason why Goku's brother is here is his damage multiplier. This means that every character in the game receives a specific amount of damage regardless of the attack they receive. Raditz takes more damage from a Kamehameha than Vegeta, for example. Raditz's multiplier is very high, means that he can die prematurely if not careful. His skills are nothing out of this world and the damage is very low compared to others of his race. You can defend yourself against this flaw with your good repertoire of range attacks, but believe me, it's not that worth it. Number 7. Great Saiyaman. Gohan's alter ego, a fighter with several flaws in his moveset. There's nothing especially catastrophic with Gohan, but it's possibly the flattest moveset I've ever seen from a Saiyan. His ultimate barely takes away half of a life bar. The combos you can execute with him fall very short in damage and optimization. His special abilities don't help cover those flaws, because he only has a damage buff technique, a quick punch that doesn't generate any kind of usable stun, and a Ki Blast that is not that great either. Many players don't feel comfortable with the Great Saiyaman, and I'm no exception. If you're tired of games being too expensive, at Instant Gaming you can buy all the games you want at an incredible price. You even have the option to get pre-orders and gift cards with a big discount. I've been using it for several years now, and here are my latest purchases to show you guys that is completely legit. Cheap, fast and safe. You can check it out in the link I leave you in the description down below. That would be a huge support for the channel. Let's get back to the video. Number 6. Jakko. There are many different characters who could have taken this place. In the end, I decided on Jakko since his ultimate has a very unreliable precision, especially in PvP combats. You can't trust a character with a definitive attack that's so difficult to connect. His moveset has hits with very low range and damage, very high damage received multiplier, and it's quite uncomfortable to try to chain combos with him. Number 5. Whis. I had a little dilemma when deciding whether to put this character in the top or not. Although in the series he's practically the strongest character in Universe 7, here in the game, analyzing it better, he has qualities that are left behind. Let's see what I mean. To start with, the damage he has for a character considered the master of a god of destruction, he doesn't have such brutal damage as characters like Hit or Goku Blue Kaioken. You would expect the damage of his standard combos to be a little higher, but what really makes most players consider Whis uncomfortable to use is his moveset of special attacks, which most of them are complicated to get right. His ultimate is very delayed with respect to the moment you activate it, and the same with his other special attacks. Most of those who defend Whis say that you just have to know how to use him for Whis to be good. And of course, under that concept, there would be no bad characters in any fighting game. But remember that you have to take into account the movement of each character. A fighter cannot be considered good if his moveset demands more conditions than benefits. It's the same thing that happens with some Storm 4 characters, of which I have talked about in previous stops. So in this case, Whis being a character that sets conditions for him to give high performance and not one that offers comfort like other top tier characters, I do consider that he should be on the list. Number 4. Mr. Satan. This character is already a walking meme. People practically point him out as being the worst character in any Dragon Ball game. Although this is not a correct statement in all cases, here in Dragon Ball Xenoverse, it is. He ends up being a fighter who gives no advantages. He is one of the few who cannot fly on his own, which gives him a disadvantage in molding when fighting. Some skills are quite good, like the dynamite kick. However, it stays at that, a flavorless character who has very low defense, has no evasive ability, has no long-range attacks, and who is, without doubt, one of the worst in performances. Number 3. Apu. What can I say? This is one of the characters that you constantly face in the story mode. The developers decided to make him playable, but in the end, the result was exactly what was expected. A fighter that doesn't do damage, has very low defense, doesn't have any ultimate or special evasion skills. That means that if they caught you without resistance, you're going to receive a tremendous beat up. Little more can be said about him. He is only one of the worst characters of the roster. Number 2. Raspberry, aka Frieza Soldier, that iconic name that represents the bad filler characters. So Raspberry is a character that is there as a filler enemy for the story mode and secondary missions. By having him available as a playable character, he doesn't offer anything beyond what we have seen. He doesn't have the ability to charge ki, he doesn't have a decent ultimate attack, and his multiplier when receiving damage is much higher than other characters. With a standard combo, they can be taking off more than an entire life bar with this guy. It was quite obvious that he had to be on the list. Number 1. Saberman. Yes, exactly. Many saw it coming. I wasn't going to end up putting some Vegeta or Kefla or whatever here to make myself interesting. Things are as they are. And here we have the one who for me is the worst character in the entire game. Take all the other bad qualities of the characters we have mentioned during the top and put them together in a single individual. That would be Saberman, who in addition to having poor damage skills, very unusual combos in damage and optimization, has an ultimate that on itself is to actually die. The Cyberman's self-destruction basically works to commit suicide along with the enemy, but it's not even that far. It doesn't take away enough life to take the rival to the next world with you, so it remains practically as a useless technique. With this being said, I consider him the worst character in the entire game. Guys, thank you so much for reaching this point in the video. I hope this helps you out. As I told you before, write what your top of worst characters in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 would be, and I'll be gladly reading them. So guys, that was all for today, and I'll be watching you in the next video. Take care, and see you.